That's crazy. My YouTube like trips when I watch some Sonetter TV, but if I'm watching like some fucking some fucking Brian Green or some shit, some fucking physics shit, the shit has no fucking problem. Or some science shit, the shit has no problem. As soon as I start watching some Sonetter TV, it's a problem. Some House of Consciousness shit. But anyway, I appreciate the part of the I can't get it back on. The part of the debate that I saw. I love Dr. Ali's argument. He's not a big fan of Farrakhan. I'm not gonna say necessarily I am, and it's not necessarily that I'm not a big fan of Farrakhan. As far as I'm concerned, Farrakhan could have easily have left with Worth and not started the fucking, you know what I'm saying, the second half of, I mean, stayed with Worth and not left and not started, you know what I'm saying, the Nation of Islam 2.0 if he was going to do an amalgamation of, Worth and Scientology, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like Farrakhan literally talks about this God of rain, sleet, and snow when the basic tenet of the teachings of Elijah Muhammad was there was no God of wind, sleet, and snow. That wind, sleet, and snow are caused by the motion of the planet. That Farrakhan has brought religiosity back to black people in the form of the teachings of Elijah Muhammad, and that's, I'm sorry, is disingenuous. Farrakhan is, and I'm glad that the brother pointed that out because I do not like dissension. I mean, what Farrakhan is pretty much a religious leader when the Islam in which Elijah Muhammad brought us or was brought us was not a religion, was not a Islam of religion. It was a Islam of culture, and it was it's entirely the center core of those teachings are no longer there. Now, again, people might want to compare that to Clarence's teachings in relationship to when he took him out of the masjid. The fact that he dropped morality, you know what I'm saying, became far more amoral in his determinations than or scientific amoral determinations than the masjid or temple or mosque nation was prior to it. But he still kept to the tenets of what, especially to the point of who God was. I mean, that was his biggest point of dissension was the fact that Wallace Farhad Muhammad had told his original followers that the Asiatic black man and woman were God, and that he was their nephew, and that we were his uncle. So therefore, he gave us greater authority than he gave himself. And then again, go back to that. He was a con man. There was and he was white. There was a million cons that any white man could have pulled on black folks in Detroit or Chicago in the 30s that would have not entailed him first telling them that they were God. Secondly, that the white man was the devil, and three, that they needed to change their diet. They needed to change their business practices, and they needed to change the structure of their community to be more Afrocentric, for lack of a better word. They needed to educate themselves. No, look, okay, Jim Jones is a perfect example who came some 40 years after Wallace Farad Muhammad. All he had to do is tell all he had to do is tell black people what they wanted to hear and what they were used to hearing in relationship to a biblical narrative, and then went entirely off of that biblical narrative and created his own religious narrative utilizing the Christian narrative, and then got mostly black people to go to a motherfucking island and then drink cyanide. That's a con man, bro. That's an end game. That's control. It's there was if you're a white man telling black people that they're more powerful than you, then you've already started off on the wrong foot because you're giving them more power than you yourself have, and you're telling them that they're more powerful than you. So you're pretty much, you know what I'm saying, taking your foot off the neck and allowing them to place the foot on you, and therefore you're taking away your ability to exploit them. You know what I'm saying? Because you've given them the idea that your power is derived from them and that their power is derived from you. So the whole idea of Wallace Farhad Muhammad being I fell for it for a minute because I got the information, I got the Wallace Ford information and followed it up and shit and did, you know what I'm saying? I went down that path and found that it was an entirely fucking erroneous path. It had absolutely no basis in actual fact that this man was a con man. Not even the fact that he was white. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was white, and then that goes in within more so within the narrative that the Nation of Islam gets, that Elijah Muhammad gets, that his father Alfonso went to create a man that could pass for white, so that he could bring this information to, you know what I'm saying, the so-called Negro in North American wilderness. That's far more sensible than the idea that this man was a con man, because he didn't have any long game con. Elijah Muhammad became rich, as far as we know. And all the money went to Elijah Muhammad. And if Elijah Muhammad was skimming off the top and giving it to Wallace Farhad Muhammad, then at some point in time, Elijah Muhammad could have just been like, I'm not giving you no more money. Why the fuck do I need to give you money? This is a long con that we involved in. I'm a con man, so I'm a dick the guy that I'm conning. So how did this man benefit from this? There were multiple ways he could have benefited. He got a house that he didn't even continue to live in for a long period of time and allow other people to stay in. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like this man got rich and there were other more fucking goddamn, especially desperate black people in the 1930s. During the Depression, there were easier ways to get rich. There were a lot easier ways to get rich than bringing this particular information that had such a positive impact upon black people. Let's look at all the black leaders that we would not have if not for the teaching of Elijah Muhammad. Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Farrakhan, you know what I'm saying? Khalid Muhammad, Clarence 13X, Clarence Jowar Smith, Wesley Muhammad, Dr. Ali Muhammad, Dr. York, Polite. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the list goes on and on and on about from the people that were actually inspired. The Black Panther Party doesn't exist without Elijah Muhammad, because Malcolm X is still in jail going the same path that he was going as Malcolm Kenneth Little, without Elijah Muhammad. So there is no black politics in which the Black Panthers, the sons of Malcolm, base their whole fucking political strategy on, because Malcolm doesn't receive the information that he receives from Elijah. You got to put those things into perspective.